So let us quick recap through this concept here. I want you to reveal and revise if we have any ambiguities that can be clarified with respect to this very important concept, that is a direct band gap and indirect band gap. It is called so the direct band gap. So this one, hello, okay. The direct and indirect, they're actually related with the momentum of the charges residing in the conduction and valence bands. In the case of direct band gap materials, it will be equal. Okay, the momentum of the electrons in the conduction band and that of the holes in the valence band are same. So whereas in indirect, the momentum of the electrons in the conduction band is less as compared to those of holes in the valence band. Because of this unequal distribution of the momentum of the charge carriers, they will be added in one direction and subtracted in another direction, leading to unequal photon energy emission or radiation, unequal emission of radiation, unequal radiation, because of unequal momentum of the charge carriers in conduction and valence bands. So the methods are there to make to minimize and to make the radiation in one direction or to completely minimize it. So that's why that is the main difference. I just wanted to revise here the difference between the direct and indirect band gap materials. So just to quick recap of what we have did in the last session, two main concepts I want to bring to your notice here when we are explaining about LEDs. The first one is a carrier confinement, this one, and second one, after the light has been emitted from the LED, will have to tackle the optical confinement. These are not actually the problems, these are the requirements for us. We'll be converting these problems as requirements for us to suit some of our uh, desired needs or applications. So light emitting diode, it is based on the spontaneous emission. So if you look at this one, the electrons falling from this one conduction band to the valence band. Okay, we want more electrons to jump here because of their low momentum. They will not jump at their own. For that, we need the help of phonons. Phonon energy EPH will be there. So these phonons will be contributing uh, energy to these electrons. They will liberate it and jump here. So while doing so, we'll get the. So this is not the photon energy is not the radiation. They will be radiating photon energy equivalent to the product of the Planck's constant and the v velocity to which they are falling, and they are reaching the holes there in the valence band and recombining there. After recombination, we'll be getting the light emission. More light emission, more recombination, more falling of electrons, like that. But here I have told in the last session, some condition will be put here. Not all the rays will be emitted from the LED. So only those light rays which are falling within the cone angle. Then the cone angle governed by the critical angle will be allowed to go out of the LED facet. So that's why, because that's why you can see remaining most of the rays, or you can say uh, those electrons will be confined to the layer here inside the LED. That is a carrier confinement problem. So that's why the energy with which these rays are going out or emitted photons will be having energy just equal to the band gap energy itself, and that will range from 1 to 3.5 Boltzmann constant into T, the temperature. We'll have to enhance it, but it is a concern to the manufacturing or the design of this LED. Somehow we'll have to make that to accommodate or to include more rays to get in this cone angle governed by the critical angle. So why it is critical angle? That is a design aspect of LED. So that's why you can say even with a low energy, the optical 3 dB is actually it is a 6 dB down compared to the electrical bandwidth. A large bandwidth it is providing. And that too we are homojunction we are observing. Homojunction means, so here P and N reasons are came from the same type of semiconductor material, maybe silicon or germanium. That is the meaning of homo. Atoms are of same. In P and N, both the atoms are silicon or germanium, like that. That's how it got the name homo. Otherwise, it is heterojunction. Carrier confinement problem here. So to resolve this carrier confinement problem, we are going with the sandwiching different p-type and n-type layers separated by the 0.1 micrometer thin layer of a different characteristic material. Means P and N, if they are of silicon, then the thin layer that you're inserting between these two is maybe from germanium or some other semiconductor or some other different material, maybe conducting or dielectric, whatever, depending on the design aspect. That's how we are getting heterojunction here. So we are slowly moving from the homo to the heterojunction because later today we'll see that most of the LED variations are heterojunction type because we don't want carrier confinement problem, that we want it to be minimized, and later we want optical confinement. Carrier confinement we don't want, that's why we are going from homo to hetero. So how it is going to be achieved, that we'll see later. Yes. So this is the main concept I just wanted to reveal here, recap. So two aspects you always keep in mind whenever we're discussing about this particular section of the module 2: carrier confinement and optical confinement. That is one. Second aspect, homo and hetero related things. These are advantages we have seen LEDs. So here, because of these two aspects, we want more radiance and quantum efficiency that we have seen it is less in case of LED. To achieve this, uh, optical confinement is important for preventing absorption of the emitted radiation. So what we mean by this optical confinement, we want the optical rays coming from the LED, which are coupled to the core of the optical fiber. We want it to confined all the way to the wall of the cladding. We don't want it to pierce through the cladding, go through the cladding, not even a small percentage. Otherwise, it will be a leakage or loss. We are losing information. That's what we mean by optical confinement, and that is a requirement that it is required. And because of this thing, most of the LED structures are based on the heterojunctions or maybe the hybrid type combination. So let us quickly start with today's main session. That is one of the important uh, aluminum gallium arsenide heterogeneous structure based LED. Here, one important quote, it is written here: a double heterostructure is formed when two semiconductor materials are ground into a sandwich. Okay, normally they are grown in the fabrication process like one layer by layer, one over the other. Such as it has got the name as aluminum gallium arsenide. Is used as the outer layer, that is for the cladding, and gallium arsenide is used for the core. This some little bit correction. If you look at this is the thing which is available for our syllabus. This one actually got it from the online, but here it's exact reverse. It is there here. So you can see here there are different sections are there. Don't afraid. If you once understand this one, this structure, if you want, you can enlarge your mobile screens. It is visible. So this is a very important discussion we are making today. And one question is fixed on these what we are discussing today. A very important point in model 2, model 3. So its name is gallium aluminum arsenide. Sorry for this. So that's name is aluminum gallium arsenide. So this one is a gallium aluminum arsenide. Double heterostructure LED, right emitter. So here about the structure we have to discuss here for the first. So how to begin with this one? So the three different diagrams has been put forth here, A, B, and C. Okay. So all of you listen this one. I will get idea how to go about explanation about this. Hardly will get any kind of explanation. So I have some PDFs with me, some old editions of Senior and Kaiser books. If you want, I will upload it in the Google Classwork later. You can tell me your opinion through the WhatsApp or chat. So one thing, all we know that, okay, here we are. Okay, we are here. Okay. So subsection A, B, and C are there. C, it is very simple, looks very simple. Start with the simple thing. You can see here the refractive index profile has been given about what? About 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it is written there. So these are different sections here. One section it will indicate this one, left side. It will include the metal contact and n-type gallium arsenide substrate. That is the outermost layer, total outermost layer. Its refractive index is very low. Next, we'll move to the second section. Its refractive index is a little bit more than that of the one. So this second section includes n-type gallium aluminum arsenide, and it is written. It's of width one approximately 1 micrometer. You can see here. Hello. Somebody is making noise. Okay. Yes. Now it is clear. How I'm telling you how to go with the explanation here. The flow should be. We'll start with the simple, that is a refractive index profile. We normally know that the refractive index, okay, the refractive index, sorry, of the core. Hope the cursor is visible, so that will tell. The refractive index of the core, we always want it to be higher than the surrounding material or the cladding outer layer. This is what actually uh, required. But why for LED? It is for the optical fiber, no? It is also required for LED because we want to couple the light emitted from the LED to be coupled to the optical fiber. Okay, it somewhat looks like this. Okay, you can see here two basic LED that we'll see later. So this is a tube. What you are getting, the fiber we are going to insert it directly in the active prism. So in the middle, ಇಲ್ಲ middle active region ಏನು ಬರ್ತೈತಲ್ಲ, this whole thing is a waveguide. Optical, not optical waveguide. It is acting like a waveguide here. Waveguide region starting from 2, 2, 3, 4. These three regions will be giving you the behavior or characteristics similar to that of the waveguide or the optical waveguide. So this CAD6 will be kept similar. The CAD6 of the regions 2, 3, 4 means 2, 4 are acting like a cladding and 3 is acting like a core of the optical fiber. So these the CAD6 of these three regions 2, 3, 4 will be kept similar to those of the CAD6 of the core and cladding of the optical fiber, because the moment when you insert the optical fiber here, that is in the region 3, that is the core, and this is also here acting like a core of almost with the zero point 0.3 micrometer, where the recombination is happening, because in recombination only you will get the light emitted, because when electron fall into hole they will recombine and the light will be emitted like that. That is the thing principle that we observed. Okay, so in active region it is actually acting like a core, and its surrounding layers 2 and 4 acting like a cladding. So 2 to 4 we are going to uh, they should match with the characteristics of the core and cladding of the optical fiber that you want to insert here, that you want to connect here to the LED. So whatever the light it is elaborated in the active region, that is the core, it will be coupled to the core without any loss. And that too, how it will be inserted, those things we'll see later. So that's why you can see its width is a very high, zero point 0.3, sorry, very low, 0.3 micrometer compared to the remaining regions. And here you can see it may appear that n-type middle one recombination region you can see. Now I'm explaining the things with respect to the A and C figures. Concentrate here. We'll come to this B region that is mainly concerned with the operational parts. Okay. As far as the structure part is concerned, A and C we are depending. We are starting with that. Okay. Yes. So how to begin with this one? We will beginning with the bottom diagram that is explaining the refractive index profile. Index profile. Please listen these explanation, guys. Hardly will get these things in the notes or the textbooks. I will upload the notes. Sorry, the textbooks. You will understand uh, what level of the things have been given there. So here we are discussing where uh, optical fiber is better to use this. Optical fiber you are we want to insert here between these regions 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So where 2 and 4 are acting like a cladding, and the third one where it is called active region where recombination is happening, it is actually similar to the core, but here is the gambling is there. Its region will be kept very small compared to the cladding region. You can see where these such things will actually make us to enter into the operational parts. Okay, so what is why they kept it is very low? One thing, one let me complete this refractive index related thing. Yes. So that's why you can see the refractive index of the core is a little bit kept higher from 3.6 to 3.9 compared to the cladding that is around 3.5 to 4, and 1.5 it is still less. around 3 maybe. 3, 3.5, around 3.9. Sorry, like that. So the refractive index profile will increase. It will be resembling the Gaussian shape, Gaussian distribution of the indices, starting from the metal contact to the substrate here on this side, left hand side only. Okay. So right hand side it will be P type gallium arsenide. Here it is N type. So here this substrate and metal contact are kept for the different purpose. Metal contact means wherever you are getting metal contact, it will be kept for the made to have the contact with the optical fiber. Okay. So whereas other reasons their function has been given here. Okay, we are here. This all about the refractive index profile that we finished up. Later we'll focus on the region size. Region size of the N-type gallium aluminum arsenide will be used as a core here. It will be kept very small, 0.3 micrometer compared to all the things. This will be because to make this recombination to happen in a very small region. So thereby the heterojunction, okay, heterostructure we are going to minimize carrier confinement problem, and along with that, this small region, if you reduce that small region where recombination is happening, will allow us to increase its efficiency. Recombination to uh, happen with a more, we want more radiance, no brightness, that will happen. More radiance or quantum efficiency will get by keeping reducing that recombination region. That's why it will be kept very very small, 0.3 micrometer, so that it will be giving you more coherent light. That's why you can see the band gap energy in this recombination will be very small, 1.5 electron volt. So the B section, it will indicate the profile of the band gap energy, band energies. So you can see the band energies structure has been clearly picturized here. Negativity will indicate the majority of the carriers are the electrons in the conduction band, injected electrons. Okay. So these electrons are coming from the what we are injecting, are coming here in the recombination region, coming from the N type. So you can see here light guiding and carrier confinement means this N type gallium arsenide, gallium aluminum arsenide, and P type gallium aluminum arsenide. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತೈತಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎನ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಗ್ಯಾಲಿಯಂ ಅಲ್ಯೂಮಿನಿಯಂ ಆರ್ಸೆನೈಡ್ ರಿಕಾಂಬಿನೇಷನ್ ರೀಸನ್ ಎರಡು ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತ ಲೇಯರ್ ಅದಾವ. 0.3 ಮೈಕ್ರೋಮೀಟರ್ ಲೇಯರ್ ಸರೌಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಎರಡು ಲೇಯರ್ ಅದಾವ, 1 ಮೈಕ್ರೋಮೀಟರ್ದು ಎರಡು ಲೇಯರ್ ಅದಾವ. These are actually labeled as light guiding layers or carrier confinement layers. These are actually known as light guiding layers. This is N type. 1 minute. This is the N type and this is P type. P type doping is means it is very high, kept very high compared to the N type. N type, these two are N type, it will be same, and P type, its a doping is a little bit higher than these two. And you can see uh, these two surrounding layers, N type and P type, are acting like light guiding layers. Means what they will do? Light guiding layers means they will see that whatever the electrons which are injected into the N type uh, recombination region, okay, they will be all jumping into the this one bottom, that is a whole this one, the valence band. Okay, so here also the holes are injected here. From where the holes are coming? From the P type, this one. So that's why this is known as a light guiding layers and carrier confinement. Carrier confinement refers to the what they are injecting the majority carriers. N type 1 micrometer layer injecting electrons into the N type 0.3 micrometer layer, that is a conduction band, and here the P type uh, 1 micrometer injecting the holes here. Okay. So we want more electrons and holes recombination to take place here with reduced band gap, band energy. You can see the band energy is very high in the region 2. If you look at this one, so in this side, so in the region 2, so the band gap is very large compared to this one, 1.5. So three factors are contributing to almost eliminate your carrier confinement problem. The first one, remember, heterostructure, what we have now. The second thing, this one, the zero point 0.3 micrometer region is very much kept small so that we can improve its radiance, that's the brightness and quantum efficiency. Okay. And the second, the third factor which is contributing is a reduced band gap energy, and that will let more electron holes to recombine in the reduced size region. Understanding? So this is coming to this one. These N type and this P type are actually named as light guiding layers. Why they are called light guiding layers? They are also called carrier confinement because they are injecting more majority carriers, and we'll see that more recombination takes place and more light will be emitted, so that no carrier will be confined or left in the LED. And light guiding because they will see that after emission they will be confined to the wall, means they are supporting, because here only, so here, so here only your optical fiber is coming and sitting here, your optical fiber with its mouth, core will be here. So once the light will be emitted through this 0.3 micrometer region, that is active region. Active region is important, that is the focus of the discussion of this any type of LED structure. Indian light laboratory that should be coupled perfectly to the core of your optical fiber, that what you are coupling to this mouth of the this one. So optical confinement is very well achieved with this light guiding layers, these things, cladding, that is matching with the cladding portion of the optical fiber. Cladding portion is here, so this is the cladding portion. That's where you are connecting the cladding of the optical fiber. Okay, so this all about the structure and functioning what I told. So these two, that's how I told, these two aspects always you have to discuss as a operational aspect. Understanding? So what is the job of these things? Metal contact for the making the contact of conductor contact, and this is a this is another metal contact improvement layer here, and this is a substrate which is helping you to inject more electrons. This also helping you to inject more holes along with this P type. Along with that, these two things, N-type gallium arsenide substrate, this one and this one, will also help in acting like a heat sink. Heat sink will improve. That's why it is known as a this one. Sorry, not this one, not this one. This is just substrate. So this one is actually acting like a heat sink, P-type gallium arsenide. It written no metal contact improvement layer. It is going to improve the performance of this gallium arsenide double true structure LED by sinking the heat. Okay, thereby improving its performance. Okay. Okay, now I will just want to pause here. Let me ask you whether shall I repeat this once again? Okay, no response. You can see the video again and again. You will see, understand. So this is the first type of heterostructure, gallium aluminum arsenide LED. So how we will begin? Just I will quickly recap here before we'll complete this discussion, particular discussion. Gallium aluminum arsenide double structure. We'll begin with the lowest part here. So we'll begin with this lowest part, that is a refractive index profile, that will give index profile of all the regions is in the shape of a Gaussian. Slowly it is increasing, or it is a parabolic. With the middle region 3 acting like a active region, which is having the characteristic similar to that of the core, and its two outer layers 2 and 4 are having the characteristic similar to that of the cladding of the optical fiber. If you look at the refractive index profile, the Ri of the active region will be kept very high compared to that of the cladding, that is 2 and 4, obviously. And the remaining other two side layers 1 and 5, one includes metal contact and n-type gallium arsenide substrate, and their function is to make a contact, metal contact, and a substrate. It will help to uh, inject the electrons in this region, active region. Whereas the 5 region is made up of the metal contact and p-type gallium arsenide. Their function is again metal contact to make the contact, and p-type gallium arsenide is not like a substrate, but instead it will be acting like a heat sink, and thereby improving the performance of this LED. LED's operational performance. And coming to these 2, 3, 4 regions once again, look at their dimensions. The size of the recombination region, that is called the active region, will be kept very small. This is because to see that this recombination should happen in a very small, very small region. The idea here is 2 and 4 are helping because they are called, 2 is called as a light guiding and carrier confinement. 4 is also called light guiding and carrier confinement. Means their main job is to minimize the carrier confinement problem by injecting more majority carriers in the respective bands, in the both lower and higher bands, conduction and valence bands. Okay, and that is one major factor, and they will be, their region will be kept very large because they can, there we are allowing to come the majority carriers in more density in this region. Okay, and the third factor you can see, the forbidden gap or the band gap energy is kept very low compared to the these gap energies, so that will allow more electron hole combination to takes place. Density we are increasing with the help of N and P type, these two regions with their wide region you can see. And by keeping this recombination region to happen in a very small size, that is a 0.3 micrometer roughly, with the reduced band energy, will be getting more density, more density, the electron hole recombination is happening, and with the more radiance we are getting. Radiance concerned with the region size, that is very small. So the three factors you keep in mind: carrier confinement, already heterostructure is contributing. Carrier confinement, again, these two cladding regions, N-type and P-type gallium aluminum arsenide, contributing by with their wide region are roughly around 1 micrometer, so that they are injecting high density majority carriers in the upper and lower bands. And next factor is the reduced the gap of the recombination region, that is around 0.3 micrometer, with the reduced band gap energy, that 1.51 electron volt, will be contributing A high density electron hole recombination with high radiance and quantum efficiency. Quantum efficiency can be further uh, enhanced with the help of this bit of gallium aluminum arsenide that is acting like a sink. That's why its region will be kept very large compared to this one, so that it can uh, allow more dissipation of the heat with the wide region. That is 1 micrometer. So this how the both the things, the carrier and optical confinement, these are also known as N type. These two are known as light guiding layers because they have the characteristic similar to that of the cladding of the optical fiber, where it is they are going to be connected with the optical fiber to couple the light from the LED to the optical fiber, and they are acting like, that's why they are acting like a light guiding, because they will see that the whatever the light which is will be emitted. Okay, so this 0.3 micrometer, it is acting like a uh, if you take the uh, what you can say, um, radiation pattern or the light emitting pattern, that will be isotropic. Okay, and its beam width will be, we want it to be half power. Okay, half power beam width we want to be coherent, and it will be perfectly coupled with this optical fiber. That is the job of these two cladding layers, N type and P type light guiding layer. That's why they are known as light guiding layers. Means their job is to be couple whatever the lights which are emitted from this isotropic pattern into the optical fiber mouth without losing it. That is the job. That is these light guiding layers. Okay. So as a result, you can see we are getting the light emitted with the 820 nanometer wavelength. Okay. So next one. So this dual confinement, the charges and fields in the active region has been shown. The other factors are affecting the performance of this are self-absorption. It has some self-absorption problem. Carrier recombination at the heterostructure interface will take place to some extent. Topic concentration of the active layer is higher, but because of that, some of the carriers will be left over there. We are not able to minimize their carrier confinement completely, but some residue will be left out there. Injection carrier density. So whatever the carriers, majority carriers which are injected by these two layers into this layer, top layer, and these two by this bottom layer, uh, some injection carrier density is not properly supported, and active layer thickness still we want it to be more thicker to support more active for this one. So these are some of the drawbacks and considered to be the manufacturer design aspects which will become the limiting factors for this performance of the gallium aluminum arsenide double structure LED. So in the next class we'll see the two basic variations of LED configurations. We'll stop now.